When the PS5 reveal trailer came out, people were very upset about the price. But what if I told you that there's definitely more things that you should be worried about? Alright, so yeah, I mean the PS5 is very expensive, but I'm not gonna be talking about if that's worth it or not because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of videos on the internet already talking about that. But I'm actually gonna talk about the fact that the PS5 Pro will not come with a disc reader, which is crazy to think about because they will sell it to you for around $80 or so. And I know that I said earlier that I was not gonna complain about the price, but this is not only because of the price, it's also because of convenience. Because think about it, how many people are really gonna spend $700 and then spend almost $100 extra on the disc reader? Most people are just gonna buy the PS5 Pro and just stick to digital. And it's not a secret that Sony would love for you to just stick to digital, because physical is just more expensive. And if you follow tech trends, to me, it seems like the PS6 is not gonna come with a disc reader. It would obviously have to depend on whether people actually buy that disc reader that they're selling or people just don't. I mean, now that we have so many scalpers, I have some hope because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be out of stock for a while. But well, the way things are going, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna do it regardless. And yes, this video is gonna be about why you should not let physical copies die. Even though digital, let's face it, is pretty convenient. And I know what you're thinking, if the PS5 is so expensive and it doesn't come with a disc reader, I'll just buy an Xbox. And yeah, I mean that would be a good option, but let me remind you what happened when Apple removed the headphone jack out of their iPhones. Yes, I mean, Samsung was laughing for a little bit, but we already know what happened. Now we're getting closer to the main issue of the video, but I would like to take a minute just to remind you how inconvenient it is to rely on the PlayStation Store. Like for example, I'm pretty sure you heard of the game Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, if you wanted to buy that game a couple of days ago, you could have bought it for $20. However, they recently announced that they were going to release a remastered of that game for the PS5. So if your idea is just to buy the original, just so you can save some money, you're also out of luck because on the PlayStation Store you will only be able to buy the new edition, which is $40. Yes, twice the price. However, if you have the PS5 that comes with a disc reader, you might still be able to find it new for $20 as long as you find the physical version. Or if anything, worst case scenario, just buy a used one from GameStop. But let's start getting serious and talk about the main issue of the video, because the real thing that I want to talk about is content ownership. Which, just in case you didn't know, if you buy some content digitally, you actually don't own it. You just have a license that allows you to play it or watch the content that you bought. And I know this is a little confusing because you technically paid for it, but this is why California recently passed a law requiring companies to state that the digital games are being licensed and not owned. And that is very important because not owning a content brings a lot of issues. Because technically, since you don't own it, they could take away your content whenever they want. But let me give you an example so it's a little more clear. Let's say you love Breaking Bad and you want to be able to watch that series whenever you want. So then you pay your subscription to Netflix because Netflix has it, and you start paying $15 a month just because you want to watch Breaking Bad. But let's say that in a year from now, Netflix actually removes Breaking Bad because of some licensing issues. Or it doesn't even have to be licensing issues, it could just be that their license expired. Well, you won't have access to the content anymore, but obviously it was clear because Netflix is a monthly subscription-based system. So you might be used to it already. But what you might not be used to is paying $60 for a game just for the company to remove the game from the store and you not be able to download it again. Because yes, that has happened before, as a matter of fact a couple of times, where companies lose the license for something that's in the game and they have to remove them from stores. And you already know what that means. If the game is not in the store, then you won't be able to download it anymore. But it doesn't even have to be because of licensing. I don't know if you heard of the game The Crew from Ubisoft. Well, Ubisoft decided that it was not worth it to keep the servers online, so they just turned them off. But the really small issue is that that game needed online services in order for you to play it, which meant that the game was just going to be unplayable. So they removed your license and basically removed your game from your actual library. And this one actually hits a little bit home because I bought The Crew. And I did not buy The Crew when it came out, I bought it years later. So thanks Ubisoft. But again, I mean, even though there was no reason why the crew had to be an online only game, the truth is, if you're playing an online only game, it's just bound to happen. But the worst part is that this can happen to any game, even offline ones, because sometimes they just lose the license of the music or they lose the license of a character and they just remove the game from the store. Like for example, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they just lost the Marvel license and they just delisted the game from the store. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, where they lost the rights of some of the music that was in the game, and the list goes on. And the worst part is that if you own the physical copy of these games, you would still be able to play them. But if you bought them online, then you're just out of luck. You won't be able to download the game anymore. Which might sound like I'm nitpicking, but in reality, it just feels wrong to just pay for something that you don't own. Or actually, let me rephrase that. It just feels wrong to pay the same amount as somebody getting a physical copy and then you just getting a license that can just be taken away. Because at least on Netflix, you're paying not that much for the service. Well, actually, that last part is actually arguable with Netflix current pricing, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, at least on console, I'll try to buy as many physical copies as I can and just wait for the inevitable digital only era to begin. But until then, I'll still hang up to them, and when that happens, at least we still have the PC environment, which is the best source of digital preservation that we have so far. And as you can see, this is my first video on the channel, so if you can just give me a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, that would definitely help me a lot. And since you watch here until the end, I just want to say thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video.